The year is 1998. Google was just created, Bill Clinton did not have relations with Monica Lewinsky, and a certain former Microsoft employee just released one of the most influential video games ever made. I'm of course talking about Half-Life. Half-Life was such a massive success, to the point where even to this day you can find references to it in pop culture. Of course, Gaben, and the other guy, immediately capitalized on the success of Half-Life and made sequels such as Half-Life Blue Shift, Half-Life Opposing Force, or, my personal favorite, Ricochet. Despite the critical acclaim that Half-Life had, none of these sequels would nearly get as much recognition as the original Half-Life, including Ricochet, unfortunately. That was until we fast forward 6 years to the year 2004, and Valve once again cooked and made Half-Life 2. Now, you thought Half-Life was successful. Half-Life doesn't nearly compare to the influence that Half-Life 2 has, and I'd like to think it had something to do with the brand new game engine Valve made for it called Source. See, in past Valve games, they're making their games using a modified version of the Quake engine called Gold Source. But Valve, being the silly little innovators that they are, they wanted to make an engine with better physics. Thus, Gaben blessed us with the Source engine. Following the release of Half-Life 2 and the Source engine, in December of 2004, Gary Newman decided to create a mod for the Source engine, and on November 29, 2006, he turned said mod into a fully fledged game. Thus, Gary's Mod was born. Gary's Mod is truly a timeless game, as at this point, 2 generations have grown up on Gmod. From Gen Z growing up watching unhinged Gmod animations by people like Dasbo Shit, to now Gen Alpha growing up watching fucking Skibbity Toilet on their mom's iPads. But how did Gmod even get so popular to begin with? Well, that I probably couldn't tell you, but if I had to guess, a big factor is probably how you can do practically anything in this game. Damn, when you really think about it, this game was kind of like Minecraft before Minecraft. Just in sandbox mode alone, there are countless things to do. Whether it's making some contraption, or running over zombies, or hiding from the thing in the dark room, or making a big rocket ship. And that's just me scratching the surface of what sandbox mode alone has to offer. I mean, I haven't even gotten into how the Steam Workshop also offers more ways to spice up your sandbox experience. For example, do you want to drive more vehicles than just the 2 there in the base game? Well, lucky for you, there's countless mods to add more vehicles to the game.
Actually, there's 3 vehicles because there's also the pod in the vehicles tab.
Shut the fuck up, I fucking hate you! Perhaps you want more options for character models. Well, there's also several mods in the workshop that can give you more ragdolls and character models to work with. Or maybe you're an absolute psychopath who wishes they could dismember ragdolls. Well, 1, seek professional help please, but 2, yes, there is in fact a mod for that too. But there's so much more to Gary's Mod than just sandbox mode. There's also countless different game modes you can choose from. Some of my favorites being Sled Build, a charming little game where you build sleds out of props and race other players down a hill and so you can get the best time. Oh, also, I fucking hate everyone who just places a chair and then calls it a day. Well, like, wow, you really earned that win, buddy. Another one is Prop Hunt, a game where you play hide and seek, where hiders disguise themselves as props and the seekers must find the imposter among us. That was vile. Never let me make that joke again. Another one is Dark RP, a wacky little role-playing game full of obnoxious children and Discord mods with god complexes.
Citizens aren't supposed to have guns.
Admins aren't supposed to suck dicks.
There was one more game mode in particular that was absolutely legendary though. In 2009, Pixeltail Games released GMOD Tower after being in development since all the way back in December of 2006. GMOD Tower was probably one of the most perfect game modes in all of Gary's Mod. Now, you might be wondering what exactly made GMOD Tower so great? Well, GMOD Tower had practically everything. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but there's so much going on in GMOD Tower that it could practically be its own game. GMOD Tower had everything, from minigames such as Ultimate Chimera Hunt, Ball Race, which is literally Super Monkey Ball, and Obama Smash? GMOD Tower also had an arcade with working arcade machines that would let you play flash games on them. Or you could also own a suite that you could fully customize with decorations that you can purchase in the shops in the lobby with currency you get from playing minigames. And that's not nearly everything that GMOD Tower had to offer, but if I did go into everything, we would be here for a while. Now, I'm sure by now you may have noticed I've been speaking in past tense about GMOD Tower, and that's because, unfortunately, in 2016, GMOD Tower has completely shut down, thus ending one of the most innovative game modes to have ever been created for Gary's Mod. Hey moron, they brought back GMOD Tower in 2019! Shut the hell up, I'm having a moment right now! It really is so sad that we will probably never get to experience the perfection of GMOD Tower ever again. Wait, what's this? Tower Unite? Made by Pixeltail Games, the creators of GMOD Tower? No, surely they didn't make GMOD Tower into its own fully fledged game, right? Hey there, my name is Marceline, and today I'll be discussing a game that's very near and dear to me. That being Towerunite, of course. If you enjoyed this video, consider dropping a like. I'm still pretty new to making video essays, so I would really appreciate any feedback in the comments down below. Anyways, without further ado, let's get straight into it. Okay, look, I have a slight confession to make. I never actually got to play GMOD Tower back in its glory days, though in my defense, it was probably because I was too scared of ever playing multiplayer in Garry's Mod as a kid. Although, I do have some fond memories of when I was a kid. I would watch Uberhacks or Nova play GMOD Tower. Jesus Christ, that was 10 years ago, what the fuck? And even though I never got to play the predecessor to Towerunite, when I bought Towerunite in 2019, I instantly fell in love with the game. I mean, I developed such an unhealthy addiction to the game that I ended up peer pressuring like a vast majority of my friends to get the game as well. But what exactly makes Towerunite such a charming game? Well, there's a lot to unpack to answer that question, but I think the best, and also easiest, place to start would be the activities that this game has to offer. Towerunite truly has some of the most unique activities I've ever seen in literally any video game ever. And I'm not even talking about things like the minigames or the arcade or anything like that. I mean, like, there's literally always something happening to keep you busy. Whether it's the timed events such as buried treasure and character visit events, or the roller coaster and Ferris wheel on the pier. Aside from those, there are a whole lot of other activities that Towerunite has to offer to go over. So, without further ado, let's get into the first activity. That being... Typing Derby is a game where you can either flex how good your typing skills are, or just try to get better at typing. The main goal of this game is to type fast enough to get your racehorse to the finish line. Now, personally, I'm really not too much of a fan of Typing Derby, and no, it's not because I'm a slow typer. Shut the fuck up. Women fear me, fish want me. As boring as this game mode might seem, fishing has got to be one of the most addicting games that this game has to offer, which is kind of crazy because of how simple the controls of this game are. You just cast your line, wait for a fish to bite, and keep your mouse in the bar that has the fish. I mean, dude, sometimes I end up accidentally spending a whole hour just fishing. Not only can you catch fish, but you can also sometimes catch treasures or trash. That's right, you can channel your inner can catch a goddamn boot or bent tin can. Also, little side note, but you can also collect the fish you catch, which really just adds to the addictiveness of this game. And holy shit, there are so many types of fish in this game for you to collect. Also, apparently you can also collect the trash that you catch for whatever reason. Now, earlier I mentioned that there are timed events, and one of those timed events are the minigame platform, where for 2.5 minutes, there's a randomized minigame, such as Target Practice, a game where, you guessed it, you shoot at targets. There are also seasonal minigames too, such as Gingerbread Smash during the winter event, which replaced my favorite game from GMOD Tower, Obama Smash. Or for the summer event, Booze Bash, a game where you have to drink as much alcohol as humanly possible while getting dizzier and dizzier for each bottle you collect. Have you ever had the urge to show several complete strangers random YouTube videos? No? Well, too bad, because that's exactly what the theater is here for. Or, if you don't want to be judged for the videos you play in the theater, you also rent out a private theater, where you can watch movies and buy alcohol and seal your friends away for an eternity. Honestly, there really isn't much else to say about the theater, other than if you somehow manage to get 1 million XP in the theater, then you're actually psychotic and you need to go outside immediately. Nico, it's Roman! Let's go bowling! There really isn't too much to say here. I mean, it's a pretty typical virtual bowling game. Though, I do have to appreciate how the devs really made it feel like you're bowling by making so you have to swipe your mouse back and forth to throw your ball, and then also letting you add spin while you're throwing the ball. Overall, pretty unique gimmicks for an otherwise average game mode. Probably being the closest thing there is to there being a horror game mode, laser tag is simultaneously one of the most infuriating, yet also terrifying games Towerunite has to offer. The laser tag experience can really be summarized like this. You'll experience the absolute agony associated with respawning after being eliminated, only to immediately be clapped by someone camping the respawn point you're at, while also at the same time, no matter if you're playing with complete strangers or with your friends, I promise you that you'll shit your pants at least once by someone sneaking up behind you. One of the newer additions to Towerunite, Dark Voyage is a fun, on-the-rails shooter game mode. Actually, holy shit, never mind. Dark Voyage has already been out for a year. It's very similar to those rides at amusement parks where you have to shoot at targets and enemies to get points. I was going to write a section here in my script about how there's some pretty bad bugs, but literally as of recording this, they just patched the bugs. So other than that, there's not really much else to say about it. A very simple and straightforward game, trivia is, yup, you guessed it, trivia. There are thousands of possible questions you can get, with topics ranging from video games to geography. And what's really cool is you can submit your own trivia questions using the URL at the top right of the screen in-game. And who knows, you may even encounter a question or two that I've submitted. Actually, fun fact, as I was finishing writing this script, one of my trivia questions actually ended up getting added to the game. And now on to what I like to call the 3 activity buildings. Okay, well, it would be 4 if I were including the theater, but like, come on, there's literally only 1 activity in the theater. Anyways, let's start with the first one, that being the Nightclub is the newest of the 3 activity buildings, so it is a bit lacking, but it does have a few neat features, such as a big dance floor, the bar, or the 2 main activities that the Nightclub has to offer. The first of which being what's cool about karaoke is that much like in the real world, you can spend a certain amount of money to rent out a karaoke room for however long you want. The only disappointing thing about the karaoke rooms are that it's really just a private room with a TV in it, so it's honestly not too much different than the private rooms in theater. Mine is the part where you can seal your friends away for an eternity. Billiards, in my opinion, has got to be the main attraction of the Nightclub. Billiards plays pretty similarly to billiards in real life. You just gotta get the balls in the holes with the sole exceptions of the cue ball and the 8 ball, until the 8 ball is the only ball that's left. Honestly, a very fun game mode, as long as you don't play against a Thoma. What is his goddamn problem? What is his bullshit? Honestly, I'm just glad this is one of the few things that the Nightclub has to offer to keep it unique. Hey, wait, what do you mean the arcade has billiards too? Actually, speaking of which, let's move on to the next activity building. That being the probably one of the most insane buildings in all of Towerunite, the arcade is jam-packed full of arcade machines. Unlike its predecessor in GMOD Tower, instead of having arcade machines to play flash games, the arcade in Towerunite has practically one-to-one recreations of real-life arcade machines, ranging from skee-ball to that stupid bullshit rigged scam machine with the spinning light. Now, of course, much like in real life, you need tokens to play the machines, and the only way to get tokens is spend your hard-earned units on token machines. The arcade has an insane amount of machines in it, so let's speed through them, starting with a pretty interesting concept. Prismatic is a weird mix of a rotating maze game while also being a Plinko machine. Now, the reason I say it's an interesting concept is because, dude, you can just have the ball stay on the edge of the maze and then just rotate the maze so the ball drops into the jackpot, which just means that you get like a near infinite amount of balls so you can just keep dropping in. Dude, it's literally just virtual skee ball. Like, I genuinely don't think I can say anything meaningful about this. An absolute arcade classic, Sunlight Roller is that one machine in literally every single arcade where you just have to launch coins in the holes on a spinning wheel. Pretty simple and pretty fun. Probably one of the most straightforward games that the arcade has to offer. Wheel of Fire is literally just that one big bass machine in literally every single arcade where you have to pull a lever to spin a wheel and hope you get a jackpot. Also, I have no clue why, but this machine also talks, which is really, really annoying and sometimes jump scares me. Have you ever wished that claw machines weren't rigged? Well, then you're in luck, because Pluck-a-Pal is probably one of the easiest claw machines ever made. Now, what's cool about it is that despite not awarding you any tickets, you can use the plushies that you catch as decorations in your condo. Have you ever been to one of those vintage arcades and seen one of those machines that like test how likely you are to get love? That's pretty much what this is. You just put in tokens and then the machine tells you how smart you are. Now, much like the real life counterpart, in my opinion, it's a total waste of money. Have you ever played one of those machines in modern arcades as like a rotating ticket pusher that eats through all of your money super quickly? Well, that's exactly what Ultimate Cow Wheel is, minus the devouring all your money part. The main goal of this game is to either collect high value discs or collect all the letters so you spell out milk, which gives you the jackpot. The ice cave is very similar to those machines where you have to throw a bunch of ping pong balls at lit up tiles, and if you hit all the tiles before either you run out of time or run out of balls, you gotta do a bonus round where you can earn extra tickets. Dude, it's literally just Simon Says. I mean, come on, what else do you want me to say? Yeah, I guess I could tell you how I figured out how to cheat on this machine. All you need is just a piece of paper, a pen, and just copy down every light that flashes. Bro, easiest long way to farm tickets. Little Birdie Feeders is a pretty simple game. It's based off that one arcade machine with that obnoxious ass circus ringleader with that shit-eating grin where you throw big balls into various holes for points. Though I think the biggest difference is that the hole that's worth the most points has a lid that opens and closes intermittently. Have you ever wanted to test how fast you can key smash? Well, then Mas Fuerte 2K is a game for you. All you need to do is just mash keys while keeping your cursor in a circle, and the more you key smash, the harder your character will hit the machine. In my opinion, this machine is actually fucking impossible. Like, dude, how is anyone supposed to get the jackpot on this? What the fuck? Avalanche is essentially just those arcade machines where you try to absolutely nail pin-shaped clowns with balls, with the only difference being that the clowns in Towerunite are just Yetis instead. Rah! I hate this game both in real life and in game! Why is this machine so bullshit? Did the devs program this machine to be fucking rigged much like its real life counterpart? Probably one of the most difficult games that the arcade has to offer, the offering has you throw ping pong balls into holes of varying colors, and the goal is to land in the middle hole. The only problem is that there's a bullshit UFO that bounces balls away if it's in its line of sight, which makes it near impossible to ever land them in the middle. An arcade version of a carnival classic, Ring God is a very straightforward game. Just throw rings on bottles. Now, the neat thing about this machine is that the game actually lets you throw up to 5 rings at once. So you can just spam the hell out of rings on this machine if you want. One of the more simple but interesting games in the arcade, Colorical lets you place a bet on up to 2 colors on a wheel that varies in sizes, and then the wheel spins a ball, and if the ball lands in your color, you win. Oh, also, obviously, the smaller the color you bet on, the higher the payout. Do you suck at basketball? Do you hate how arcades in real life overinflate the basketball so it's near impossible to ever land a ball in the hoops? Or are you just a sad little short baby who can't play basketball? Well, worry not, as Super Hoopers is a solution to these issues. Well, I guess except for the sucking at basketball thing. For that, I just suggest that you get good. Dude, this is literally just whack-a-mole. I mean, come on, everyone knows how whack-a-mole is played. This is literally just a less cool version of Bug Bites, which, speaking of, Bug Bites is literally just a better version of whack-a-mole because it has a bigger playing area and you can even play it with a friend. A 21st century arcade classic, Planetary Piano is the in-game counterpart to the real-life machine piano tiles. All you have to do is just press the keys, matching what's on the screen as fast as humanly possible. Now, what's cool about this machine is that much like Bug Bites, you can actually play this machine with a friend. Just make sure your friend is an absolute rhythm game sweat lord who only plays Osu in his free time. Lonely Gun 30XX is a pretty interesting but simple game. The game is mostly just a test of your aim and reflexes. The goal of the game is to just shoot the targets as fast as possible, and the better time you get, the more tickets you get. Look, I'm going to be perfectly honest right now. I just do not understand how to play Tornado, both in Towerunite as well as in real life. I just launch the ball and just hope I don't over or undershoot it. In Candy Slam, you have to beat and torture various candies to death with a stationary punching glove and avoid hitting any non-candy items. One of the 2 Condoser games that the arcade has, Coin River has a bit of an interesting gimmick to it, where you need to spell out river by making coins pass the letters by rolling them down platforms. Now, the platforms are actually pretty interesting because they actually have trap doors, which I think is a pretty unique gimmick that I don't think I've ever seen in a Condoser before. Little side note, Coin River usually pays out like the most tickets out of all the machines in the arcade, so don't be surprised if you see people hogging the machine, especially on double ticket weekends. Staying on the theme of coin dozers, we have Dragon's Treasure, which is the second coin dozer that the arcade has. And the gimmick of this machine is that you can light up colorful circles instead of letter circles, which will spin a wheel that can either add treasures, gold coins, or a fucking dragon to the machine, or you can also turn your normal coins into gold coins by dropping them through the treasure chest. Probably one of the buggiest games in my personal experience, Gears of Coin has surprisingly easy jackpots with almost equally as surprising payouts. You roll coins down a funnel, and then they land on a spinning roulette wheel. Just be careful not to spam coins too fast, or the coins will either get stuck and you'll have to quit the machine, or the coins will somehow jump over the slots you need to land in. Though, funnily enough, despite me running into these issues so often off camera, I actually didn't run into a single one of these bugs while filming background footage for this video. Yet another arcade classic, as well as a childhood favorite of mine, World of Fish is just like those machines in real life where you have to drop a bouncy ball into various holes, and the goal is to try to land it into either the jackpot or the 100-ticket hole. But, much like in real life, there are these little fucking rims that make it near impossible to land a ball into these damn holes. Plus, I'm also convinced that this machine is rigged just like the real life counterpart because the balls keep conveniently rolling into the lowest value holes. You know what, while we're on the topic of machines that make me so unbelievably angry, let's talk about Newton's Apples. Now, this game is near identical to its real-life counterpart, though I feel like it's significantly harder to get all the apples in the bucket in Towerunite than real life, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. Like, dude, there are literally guides that say the only way to get a perfect score is to use an auto-clicker. I mean, that's not entirely true because I somehow got it perfect without an auto-clicker, but still, it's practically impossible. Meteoroid Mania is pretty much just a giant plinko machine, where you have to try to land balls into the holes at the bottom. And if you land the ball into the bonus hole, you get to spin a bonus wheel where you can get a lot of tickets. So, you know those rigged arcade machines where you have to stack blocks and then when you get close to the jackpot, the last block conveniently has input delay right before you get it? Well, this machine is exactly the same as that, with the only difference being that this is just not rigged. Oh, good lord, that was a lot of games to go through. But we now have our massive haul of tickets that we probably got by farming Coin River. So now we can feed them to the ticket machine and reap the fruits of our labor at the prize counter. Now, of course, much like any other prize counter at an arcade, there's a wide variety of things you can buy at the prize counter, ranging from sugary bullshit to working game consoles. Yes, you heard me right, working game consoles. Don't worry, I'll explain later. But what exactly is the point of getting prizes at the arcade? Well, the prizes can either be used as decorations for your condo, cosmetic for your character, or just a completely pointless holdable item for your character to eat. Or, if you really just know life the arcade, you can also get a holdable item that's effectively just a portable soundboard. But that's enough of the arcade. I mean, come on, arcades are for little babies. Now, cool grown-ups gamble at the... Ah yes, the casino. The fastest way to get rich in Towerunite. Just remember, 99% of gamblers quit before they win big. If you're trying to quickly increase the amount of units you have, then the casino is the perfect place for you to be at. The casino has all your classic casino activity. From the classic card games to horse betting, the casino has everything you could possibly... What is that goddamn noise? Oh sweet Jesus, make it stop! The sound, it haunts my dreams! It never fucking stops! Oh my god! You can't have a casino without an absolute classic like roulette. Now, if you're like me and have absolutely no clue on how the hell to play roulette, the rules are pretty straightforward. You just have to place a bet on a number, a color, or an odd or even number, and if the ball on the wheel lands on whatever you place a bet on, you win. Something I never realized until I record B-roll for this video is that roulette is like by far one of the fastest way to get rich in this game. Like, legit, some of my friends went from having like a good 10,000 units to having over 1 million just by recklessly betting everything on like a dozen and getting a massive payout like each time. Another classic casino game, and thankfully like infinitely easier to understand than roulette. The rules of blackjack are really simple. Just get your cards to add up to 21, or at least try to get as close to 21 as possible. And if you're closer to 21 than the dealer, you win. Dude, it's literally just blackjack for antisocial people. Next. Look, I'm gonna be real with you, I just have no fucking clue on how to play video poker. I know the rules of normal poker, which you can kind of apply to video poker, but honestly, if you are going to play it, the best strategy to win is to just keep playing until you win randomly. But really, I just don't recommend you play it to begin with. Again, I just don't really get this machine, like, at all, but from what I can tell, you can choose up to 10 different numbers and the machine will pick 20 random numbers, and if any of your numbers are among the 20, then you win some money. Though, I think if you choose more numbers, then the machine will have to choose more matching numbers for you to make a profit, but I don't really know. This machine's just confusing to me. Would you rather have $1 million or double it and give it to the next person? Double or Nothing is probably the easiest to understand out of all the games in Casino. You either double your money, lose your money, or cash out. Once again, another absolute casino classic. And despite being overly complicated, it's actually a game that I understand for once. Without going into every single way you can win, I'll just summarize it like this. You win by either having the most valuable hand, or scaring your opponents into folding by making them think you have a good hand. Are you too much of a sad little baby who's too scared to use their brain to play normal poker? Then 5-card draw is the game for you. It is literally just Texas Hold'em, but you decide which cards you want to keep in your hand. Real pussy shit if you ask me. The first of the 3 slot machines in the casino, Wheel of Money plays like any other typical slot machine. But if you land on a spin, you can spin the wheel for a chance to win the collected jackpot that everyone's trying to get their grimy little mitts on. The second of the 3 slot machines is Diamonds. It's probably the most bare bones basic bitch slot machine the casino has to offer. It plays like pretty much any other slot machine, and if you get 3 diamonds in a row, you get the jackpot. Probably the most interesting of the slot machines, Grand Quest once again plays like your typical slot machine, but your goal is to kill the dragon to win the jackpot. You can do damage to the dragon by landing on an action symbol, where your character will randomly either attack, use magic, defend, heal, or stumble like a fucking idiot. If the dragon kills you before you kill it, you'll have to start all over again. Do you ever wish you could be a Midwesterner with a crippling gambling addiction? Then Silver Saddles is a game for you. You just place bets on various horses and where they'll rank in a race. The only difference between Silver Saddles and real-life horse betting is that the horses in Silver Saddles aren't on insane amounts of steroids. Or at least I think they aren't. One of the less traditional casino games, Spin to Win, as the name suggests, lets you spin a wheel to win a prize. Most prizes, like about 85% of them, are all decorations for your condo, so that's pretty neat I think. Though I think most people really only play it to win the legendary Ice Moon condo, though me personally, I play to win my billionth hula doll in a row. Also, this godforsaken game has one of the other sounds that haunt my dreams. Oh God, make it stop, please, for the love of God, make it stop! Honestly, if there's anything bingo and Towerunite has taught me, it's that I finally understand why old ladies get so unreasonably aggressive and violent over bingo. Like, when I become an old lady, I want to be exactly like those other old ladies that start riots over bingo because I feel nothing but pure, sheer, and utter hatred in my soul whenever I play bingo. Like, what do you mean I purchased 4 cards and somehow they called every number for G except for the one I need? What do you mean this random-ass prick got multiple bingos in the same game? What do you mean the same prick also wins the blackout round? I hate bingo! Sorry, I get a little bit heated when it comes to bingo. I think it would be best if we took a breather and left the casino. Oh, and would you look at that? We got through all the Plaza Activities. Or at least all the notable activities. I mean, come on. Do you really expect me to make a whole last section dedicated to the water park, or the buried treasure, or the character visit? I mean, look, they're cool and all, but I don't really think they're notable enough to have a whole dedicated section. But now we can move on to the next major section of the game, the minigames. The minigames are by far one of the most interesting aspects of Towerunite in my opinion, as despite the fact that it seems like there aren't that many minigames, there's actually a lot of variety in every single one. And plus, the devs to this day are still adding more and more minigames. Like just recently, as of writing the script, they've just released Saturday Night Live. One of the great things about the minigames in Towerunite is that each game mode appeals to different types of people. Like for instance, if you're more of a competitive racing type of person, Accelerate is the game for you. Whereas more casual players like myself may be more inclined to play something like Minigolf. So now, I'm going to give the rundown on every single game mode and every single map. So, let's start off with the first minigame, that being... Ball Race, an absolute classic. One of the original GMOD Tower game modes, Ball Race is based off the game Super Monkey Ball, where, much like in Super Monkey Ball, the goal of the game is to roll around in the ball and get to the end without popping the ball, while also collecting as many melons as humanly possible, as well as collecting secret gold melons. Ball Race currently has a total of 12 different maps, which range in difficulty from easy to very hard, and each with their own silly little gimmicks, ranging from minor things such as bumpers and boost pads, to more major things such as tornadoes or black holes. Each map is extremely unique in their own way, so let's go check them out, starting with... One of the more popular, but also, I guess, uninteresting maps, Galaxy's only gimmick is racing. Yes, that's literally what the game says its gimmick is. There honestly isn't much that's unique in this level. It's basically just full of all the basic mechanics in Ball Race, such as boosters, moving platforms, moving walls, and ramps. This map is truly the embodiment of Jack of all trades, master of none. Overall, a very, very average and decently uninteresting map. An absolute GMOD tower classic, Woodlands is a fairly easy, though slightly more difficult map than Galaxy. The main gimmicks of this map are fans and slop. There's also falling rocks, though that's really only for just like one of the levels. The same thing can be said also about a comically large hammer. Also, for some reason, the description of this map says it has light and fluffy level design. What does that even mean? What do you mean it has light and fluffy level design? Nothing about this map is light or fluffy. I mean, I guess the music is light and fluffy, but like that's really it. Overall though, this map is a fairly short and, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, a little bit of a forgettable map. One of the newest Ball Race maps, Heaven Escape is amongst the easiest maps in the game. This is also, in my opinion, one of the most chill maps in the entire game, with really beautiful aesthetics and music that just makes it feel like you're ascending to another plane of existence. And this feeling is only amplified with the goal being a rainbow doorway. The gimmicks of this map are also pretty basic, that being bumpers and multi-routes. Though, much like Galaxy, I don't really get why multi-routes are considered a gimmick, as pretty much every map has multiple routes. But honestly, overall, this map is really relaxing, and I highly recommend it. You know, for the longest time, I actually really hated Paradise, and I'm honestly not even sure why. Maybe it's because of how the old map looked, or maybe it's just because I didn't like how the beginning of the level's song goes. But honestly, I actually think this map is really nice. This map's main gimmicks are boost pads, teamwork, and half pipes. Yup, you heard me right. Half pipes. Yeah, get ready to channel your inner Tony Hawk when playing on this map, because you would better be ready to hit the nastiest tray flip off a half pipe onto a hubba, doing a backside manual, doing a dark side grind while pushing Mongo. What the fuck was anything that I just said there? I think I legitimately just blacked out. As for the teamwork aspect, it's really less teamwork and more of just freeloading, if anything. But honestly, I think this map is really fun, and I highly recommend it. For the last of the easy levels, we have Summit, a wintry Nordic-themed level with an ear-shatteringly loud guitar shred that absolutely jump scares the shit out of you when you load into the map. The only gimmick of this map is hills. Hills. What the fuck do you mean, hills? Practically every level has hills. This map really thinks it's special, huh? Okay, I need to calm down. Look, I know I shouldn't be as critical about this map as I currently am, but like, dude, this map is, if I'm going to be honest, really forgettable, and honestly, kind of boring too. For the first of the medium difficulty maps, we have Chromidro. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Chromidro? Chromidro? I don't know. This map is another super chill vibes map that feels very much akin to Paradise or Heavenscape with its super lighthearted music and beautiful environment. I particularly love the aesthetics this map has with the intentionally low poly background. I don't know, it really makes the map stand out compared to the other maps. This map's gimmicks include tornadoes, fans, and bumpers. There honestly isn't too much notable about these gimmicks, though it is pretty cool the way the wind is used on this map. Also, I know I didn't talk about any of the gold melons on the previous levels, but I need to bring up how dubious all the gold melons are hidden on this map. Every single gold melon on this map is hidden in some area that you'd think would be an inaccessible area, but no, that's just what the government wants you to think. This one is probably one of my favorite maps. Event Horizon is completely themed around black holes, which are low-key one of my hyperfixations right now. The goals are also extremely unique on this map, as they're the only goals in the game where they're actual black holes, and they even suck you in. This map is also extremely unique in how there's a special goal on this map that is literally just a giant fucking black hole that makes you faster and faster as the platform you're on gets literally spaghettified. The main gimmicks of this map are black holes, obviously, bumpers, and bouncy stars. I know every map's gimmick is supposed to be fitting for the respective map, but I really feel like Event Horizon's gimmicks just really add so much to the deep space vibes that this map has. What with getting vacuumed into black holes while bouncing from star to star, I just really love the vibes that this map has so much. Oasis, the Pharaoh's Curse. Another pretty neat map, Oasis themed all around an ancient Egyptian desert, if that wasn't already obvious, what with all the pyramids everywhere. Also, can I just say real quick, holy shit, this music has no right to be this damn funky. Oh my god. This map's main gimmicks are bumpers, falling rocks, and mazes. I actually think the maze gimmick is really neat, since no other maps really use this. And plus, it really fits the theme of ancient Egypt really well. Overall, I think this map is really unique and really funky. I highly recommend it. For the shortest ball race map with just 10 levels, we have Nimbus. The strange thing about this map is that not only is this the shortest map, but it's also the only ball race map with no bonus level. Despite the fact that this is a medium map, it's actually a really easy map. In fact, I even go as far to say that this map is easier than Galaxy. This map's main gimmicks are hammers, teleporters, and once again, bumpers. The hammers are actually a pretty interesting gimmick, as they're surprisingly difficult when they do show up. Though, at the same time, the hammers can be used as a shortcut. Overall, if you're looking for an easy map to speedrun, I'd say Nimbus is a great choice. For whatever reason, there's only one hard map in Ball Race, and that's Memories. Now look, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Normally I'd give some kind of input on my thoughts on the map, but dude, I'd honestly be just grasping at straws trying to say anything about this map. I mean, dude, there's literally no backdrop. It's all just gray. This map's main gimmicks are attractors, repellers, light bridges, and invisible platforms. Though, the most notable gimmicks in this map are the attractors and repellers, since they are very prominent in, pretty much every single level. Also, I would have included bumpers yet again in the list of gimmicks on this map, but they really aren't super notable, with the sole exception of this one fucking level where these bumpers create two goddamn impassable walls blocking the damn goal. Ugh, everything about this one particular level gets me so angry. Ugh. And that just about does it for the long, extensive list of all the hard maps in Ball Race. Now, let's move on to the very hard maps. You know, the game really does not exaggerate at all when it says that these maps are very hard. These maps take an absolute difficulty spike in comparison to the other maps. For the first of the very hard maps, we've also got the longest map in the game, Prism. This map has a whopping 15 levels, as well as some of the longest levels I think I've ever encountered. But honestly, none of that matters because I'm too busy absolutely fucking jamming to this song. Holy shit, this has to be like one of the funkiest maps in the entire game. The crazy thing about this map is that even somehow the bonus level is also extremely difficult. Like, honestly, props to you if you can even get the big melons in this bonus level. This map's main gimmicks are trampolines, teamwork, and bloop blocks. Bloop blocks? What kind of name are bloop blocks? Okay, well, speaking of bloop blocks, they're by far the most prominent gimmick in the entire map, appearing in some major way in every single level. The cool thing about the bloop blocks, though, in my opinion, is that they turn Ball Race into a bit of a rhythm game, since the bloop blocks usually flash in and out to the beat of the music, which I'd like to remind you is a total fucking bop. But overall, if you like funky music and you like challenging yourself, then Prism is the map for you. For the last of the Ball Race maps, we have Midori. This map is another one of my personal favorites, as it's really near and dear to my heart, since it was one of the first Ball Race maps I've ever beaten. Which is actually quite surprising, seeing as how damn difficult this map is. Oh, also, I like this map a lot because much like Prism, this map's music absolutely fucking slaps. This map's main gimmicks are attractors, repellers, and tricky platforms. Now look, normally I'd say something really snarky about there being tricky platforms, but believe me when I say that these platforms are fucking hard. Though honestly, every gimmick in this map is super difficult, especially the attractors on the first level. What's really crazy though is how this map manages to be really damn challenging, and yet there's not a single bumper in sight, which I'm actually really happy about. But overall, if you think Prism is too easy and you need more of a challenge, then Midori is the map for you. Well, that just about does it for Ball Race. By far one of my absolutely favorite game modes. I mean, if it's not already apparent, I really like this game mode. Like, I really like this game mode. What's even better is that if you're like me and are too scared of ever playing games with randoms, or too scared to ask friends to play, you can play Ball Race all by yourself and try to get at best time, or just grind the really grindy achievements. And believe me when I say that Ball Race has some grindy achievements. You know, one big thing that Ball Race reminds me of is how phenomenal the aesthetics are in this game, and how there's just such a huge variety in aesthetics from map to map. Whether it's the relaxing low poly look that Chromedro has, or the funky flashy space look that Prism has. The aesthetics are by far one of my favorite aspects of Towerunite, to the point where I was going to include an entire section in the script of this video about how awesome the aesthetics are in this game. But I realize that there's only so much that you can really say about how a game looks. Also, I think I would sound really weird if I just started yabbering on about how much I love how this game looks for like 10 minutes straight. So I'll try to restrain myself from gushing too much about how beautiful this game is. Anyways, enough about the calm and casual Ball Race. Now let's move on to a much more adrenaline pumping aggressive game mode. That being... Yet another classic GMOD tower game mode, what was once known as Ultimate Chimera Hunt, is now called Little Crusaders, where the goal of the game is actually quite simple. You just need to slay the dragon. Or, if you're the dragon, kill all the knights. The only thing though is that if you are a knight, you mostly don't have any weapons you can use against the dragon. So, how exactly you're meant to kill it then? Well, obviously by pressing the big button on its back, like duh. Doesn't everyone know that dragons have just a big button on their back? It's like common knowledge. Don't they teach you anything in school? Of course though, the dragon has tools at their disposal to protect themselves from having the knights press their button. The dragon can slap knights away with a tail swipe, or they can scare them off by roaring. And let's not forget the fact that it's a fucking dragon and that it can fly. I mean, albeit not that far, but still, it can fly. The dragon can also use their sheer fucking mass to also stomp on the knights, which is actually pretty useful since you can't bite while flying, and when you do bite, you can only bite forward and you're stunned for a few seconds. Now, remember how I said that the knights mostly don't have any weapons at their disposal? Well, aside from themselves, they do have one weapon they can use, the burb. The burb appears when the round's time limit has almost been reached and can be used as a projectile against the dragon, which will either kill or stun the dragon, depending on where the burb hits. The burb is extremely powerful, so to counteract its strength, the dragon can eat the burb, so it's a very valuable resource that should not go to waste. Admittedly, I suck ass at using the burb and constantly throw the entire game every single time I try to use it. Thank God this game doesn't have a vote kick system, otherwise I would be like constantly vote kicked. Now, unlike Ball Race, the maps aren't really the main focus of this game mode, so I don't nearly have much to say about them as much as other game modes, though some maps do have small gimmicks such as fire or a really OP sword, but nevertheless I'll still summarize them to the best of my ability. So let's start things off by talking about probably one of the most basic maps in the game. Cardboard Castle is actually a decently balanced map in my opinion. It has a couple of spots for the knights to hide, as well as a couple of high spots for either the dragon to get a bird's eye view of everything, or for a knight to jump scare the absolute life out of the dragon down below. Cardboard Castle is also one of the few maps without a gimmick. I mean, I guess technically you could consider the piano a gimmick, but really it's just decorative. Unlike Cardboard Castle, Mystic Grove is so night-sighted, it fucking hurts. The dragon has literally every disadvantage on this map. First of all, this map is dark as hell, which makes it super easy for knights to sneak around. Second of all, there's a bunch of trees, which normally I wouldn't pay too much mind to, if it weren't for the fact that the dragon is in third person, so the trees just constantly obstruct your view. And third of all, this map has fire, which knights can use as a free speed boost if they run out of stamina. And fourth of all, and this is a real kicker, this map has a fucking sword. If a knight has reached the Baron rank or higher, which you can get by slaying the dragon 3 times without dying, they can take the sword and kill the dragon without pressing the button. Overall, an absolute nightmare map for all dragon players. You know, I never thought Little Crusaders would be a horror game until I played Night Sin by Sea. There truly is something absolutely terrifying about looking around for knights to eat, and then one just fucking darts out from behind a building and absolutely jump scares you to death. And vice versa for the knights, not knowing where the dragon is, and then fucking barrels towards you at Mach 10 speed. So yeah, pretty spooky map. Another surprisingly terrifying map, we have Market. Unlike Night's End by Sea, instead of the scary part being the large amount of buildings hiding threats, the way this map is absolutely fucking terrifying is because of the sewers. Look, there's truly nothing more terrifying as the dragon being forced to jump down there into the sewers, and then just like 3 goons jump out in different directions trying to kill you. And vice versa for the knights. One of my diabolical ass friends gave me an actual heart attack by going down the well as the dragon, and when I followed, he was just right there. I didn't even know he could fit in the well. Definitely one of the more interesting maps. Up next, we've got Throne Room. This map is pretty interesting in that, for starters, the round can end really fast if the dragon spawns right next to the knights. Though, more notably, this map really encourages both the knights and the dragons to pay attention to what's above them. I mean, I know that's kind of a given for maps where players can get to high ground, but I don't think there's a single other map where I've been genuinely jump scared by either a knight jumping down on me as a dragon, or getting absolutely jump scared as a knight by having the dragon Goomba stomp me out of nowhere. Honestly, I feel like Toy Room is just a better version of Cardboard Castle. Toy Room is literally just like how I described Cardboard Castle, but multiply like every single hiding spot and vantage point by about 10. Like, I don't know, it feels kind of like a mix of Cardboard Castle and Night's End by Sea. It's definitely a lot of fun running around and hiding on this map, though. Like, I don't know, there's just something about Toy Room that really just gets the adrenaline pumping much more than any of the other maps. For the last of the Little Crusaders maps, we have probably one of the most straightforward maps, Amphitheater. Amphitheater is a gladiator arena style map with fire scattered all around the map that knights can use to their advantage. I'm going to be honest, there really isn't much else to know in this map. It's actually just a really well-rounded map with like nothing too crazy going on, while also not being too minimalistic. I like it a lot. And that's the last of the maps for Little Crusaders. Look, although I really like Little Crusaders a lot, and I had an absolute blast recording the B-roll for this segment with my friends, I definitely gotta say that there's 100% a power imbalance where the knights have just way too much power over the dragon, especially when there are more players and the knights vastly outnumber the dragon. A strategy that I've learned works a lot is to just fucking run Mach 10 speed at the dragon and then just spam click near the button, and then you're almost guaranteed a kill. But The devs are actually well aware of the power imbalance in Little Crusaders, and they're actually currently working on some balancing for the game. Though, I'll go into a bit more detail on that later in the video. But anyways, that's enough adrenaline-pumping PvP for now. I think we should move back on over to a much more calm and relaxing game mode. That, of course, being... I lied. If you thought that Minigolf would be more relaxing than Little Crusaders, then boy do I have news for you. As someone who considers herself something of a virtual Minigolf aficionado, I know firsthand how absolutely fucking agonizing, but also addicting Minigolf is. I mean, like, Jesus Christ, look how much XP I have in this game mode. And yet, despite my sheer dedication to the game mode, I still feel a primal urge to throw my entire PC out my window every single time I fuck up and keep missing my shots. Though, I gotta say, this game mode can also be extremely funny if you're with friends and you get to hear them lose their shit when they screw up so insanely badly.
This one's not that hard, what?
Oh no, it is.
It is for me.
It's
really not.
Picks after the lobotomy.
No! 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 No!
Now look, normally I give a rundown about what the gameplay's like and what the controls are, but dude, it's Minigolf. Literally everyone knows what the hell Minigolf is. The controls are really simple. You literally just point and shoot. It's really as simple as that. Much like Ball Race, Minigolf has some extremely unique maps, each with their own special gimmicks, ranging from cannons to ice. There's a lot to go through, so let's start things off with... Yar, matey! Are you ready to swash some buckles? Buckle some swashes? Broadside a buccaneer whom ye shall maroon for plundering the One Piece? Why the hell did I write down my script? What is wrong with me? Welcome everyone to the Privateer's Playground, Treasure Cove. A very simple but also interesting map. Treasure Cove is probably one of my favorite Minigolf maps, both thematically and gameplay-wise. I really love how casual this map is, while also not being super boring. It's like the perfect mix of being an easy map, but also not being super boring or uninteresting. The main gimmicks of this map are cannons and wheels. You know, this map really loves its wheels. Get it? Wheelie? You know, cause there's wheels. Come on, who liked that one? Why isn't anyone laughing? Well, howdy, partner. Are you ready to strike it rich in the mines up in the Waterhole? Waterhole is definitely one of the most basic Minigolf maps in the whole game. And I'm not just saying that as like a bad thing. I actually really enjoy the change of pace with the lack of crazy gimmicks and back-to-back pitfalls like some of the other maps. The main gimmicks that this map has are swing pickaxes, rolling barrels, and minecarts. Despite these being the, quote, main gimmicks, they don't really have much of a role in this map, as the barrels and swing pickaxes hardly get in the way, and the minecarts are just a fun little ride at the final hole. Alright, look, I'm going to be honest, I've already run out of quirky openers for Minigolf maps, so welcome everyone to Island! A relaxing but also mildly disturbing Minigolf map that takes place on a classic tropical island. Now, you might be wondering why I say mildly disturbing, and that's because it may appear like it's the middle of the day on the island, but if you look up, it's actually the middle of the night. Where's the sunlight coming from? Hey, so future Marcy here, it turns out that like the Minigolf maps also have a day-night cycle, so sometimes they just take place at night? I still stand by my point that this is really disturbing though. Now, I'm actually pretty sure that this map doesn't have any notable gimmicks, which is kind of surprising. I mean, I guess an argument can be made about these random ass pitfalls and make me want to launch my fucking keyboard into orbit while my perfectly par game ends up being ruined by hole 9 and 12. Like, dude, why do these holes have to exist? I was having such a chill time, and then I had to ruin everything with its stupid widening road shit with its stupid hills. These holes are just like walking on nice comfy carpet and then randomly stepping on a nail that's just slightly protruding from the floor. Ugh, I hate these particular holes so much. Well, it wouldn't be a mini-golf game if there wasn't a forest map. You know, despite this map being marked as a medium difficulty map, this map was actually surprisingly difficult. You know how the description for this map describes the sounds of the forest? Yeah, well, the growling noises part is me when I get out of bounds for the umpteenth fucking time. While I was playing this map off camera with a couple friends, we somehow managed to get a bogey on nearly every hole on this map. Although, who knows, maybe we just suck absolute ass crack at this game. I don't really think there's any specific gimmicks for this map, as this is like the most bare bones type of mini golf course there is. Well, I hope you don't have altitude sickness, because the next map is Altitude. Yeah, get it? Because the map's called Altitude. Altitude is by far one of the most unique looking mini-golf maps in the game in my opinion, with its hexagonal environment and all the floating islands suspended by spinning blades. You know, something funny about this map is that it's one of the few maps that has a hole-in-one that isn't actually marked in the achievement book as a possible hole-in-one. The main gimmicks of this map are spinning fans, plane rotors, and blimps. I know that obviously every map's gimmick is supposed to fit the theme of their respective maps, but I don't know, I feel like Altitude definitely does an exceptional job at matching the obstacles with the theme of the map. I really like it a lot. Well, hopefully you like the number 3, because up next we've got a mission. Now, you might be wondering why I say I hope you like the number 3, and that's because practically every hole in this map has a par of 3. Despite the decently tough par requirements, I actually really enjoy this map. I really just love the futuristic retro 80s look that this map has with all the bright neon lights covering the map. The gimmicks on this map also really fit the vibes of the map extremely well, those being teleporters, light bridges, and laser walls. I will say though, the light bridges and laser walls can easily ruin someone's par game, especially with the unforgiving par requirements on this map. But honestly, I do really love the challenge that this map provides. One of the newest mini-golf maps, we have Mushroom Wood, which was formerly known as Dark. I'm actually really glad they redesigned Dark to be Mushroom Wood, because holy fuck, Dark was like actually unplayably dark. Much like a mission, hopefully you like the number 4, because Mushroom Wood's pars are almost all 4. Though, unlike a mission, these holes are much less punishing, probably because the par requirement is higher than the requirements on the mission. The main gimmicks in this map are boosters and glowing mushrooms. Admittedly, I don't really think these gimmicks are that notable, as boosters are on pretty much every map, and the mushrooms are just bouncy. One of the oldest mini-golf maps, Garden is a deceptively relaxing looking map. In all reality though, this map has caused me so much agony, especially on some of these hole-1 spots. Like dude, this map has traumatized me to the point where whenever I think of a Zen garden, I just give a 1,000-yard stare. Like look, I so desperately want to feel nice and relaxed when playing on this frankly really beautiful map. I can't when I'm tearing my damn hair out trying to get a hole-1 a hole 18. I don't even know how I managed to get a hole-in-one on it that one time. This map really does go all out though on trying to portray Zen garden vibes, which are heavily reflected on the main gimmicks of this map, which are taiko drums and gongs. The taiko drums do pretty much what you would expect them to do, which are to bounce you around, but the gongs basically work as a way for you to instantly stop you instead of bouncing you off the wall. Overall, a really beautiful map, but oh my god, I think I'm permanently traumatized from trying to get a hole-1, a hole 15, and hole 18. I just knew it'd be a matter of time until we encountered an ice level. I know I sound really bitter when I say that, but I have such a strong disdain for ice levels in games. I don't care what the game is, whether it's Super Mario 64 or goddamn Pizza Tower. I absolutely fucking despise ice levels, and Alpine is certainly no exception. And the sentiment of mine is definitely reinforced after recording the damn background footage for this level. I don't think I've ever been this genuinely mad at a video game in a very long time until I played this damn map. I mean, like, Jesus Christ, I actually got so mad that I rage couldn't stop recording. So yeah, I'm not too big of a fan of ice levels, but hey, if you like ice, then you'll love Alpine. The main gimmicks of this map are what you'd expect it to be. Ice! Hey, I thought we were playing Minigolf, not little Crusaders. Oh wait, we're just playing on Kingdom. Kingdom is the first of the 2 hard Minigolf maps, and believe me when I say that these maps are hard. Not like never-ending misery hard, but still definitely pretty tough. This map is actually pretty neat in how actually some sections might seem a bit familiar, and that's because actually some parts of this map are little Crusaders maps. As cool as this map is, there is one massive gripe I have with this map, and that's the hole-in-one on hole 17. Why does this exist? This is probably one of the most sadistic hole-in-ones that this game has offered. You don't even get a hole-in-one if you go down when the green semicircle lines up with the green section on the spinning wheel. Out of all the achievements I've gotten in this game, getting a hole-in-one on this particular hole is one of the hardest I've ever gotten in this game. Well, either that or getting 5,000 points in the offering. That one was also just hell. Of course, it wouldn't be a virtual mini-golf game without a Candyland map. Okay, well, to be fair, the only other virtual mini-golf game I know of that has a Candyland map is Golf with Your Friends, but that's also the only other virtual mini-golf game that I know of. But I digress. Sweet Tooth is also the last of the mini-golf maps, and is also surprisingly pretty difficult. Okay, I guess not that surprising, seeing as how it's one of the hard maps, but still. The most notable aspect of this map is how punishing it can be to make any mistakes whatsoever. Like, there's quite a lot of holes in this map where if you make so much as one mistake, you'll be forced to do around 1 to 4 more strokes than you would have done otherwise. I mean, dude, just on hole 2, if you screw up the hole in 1, you'll have to do at least 5 more strokes just to get to the hole. Oh, thank God we finally got through the mini-golf section. I'm fairly certain I was going to burst a damn blood vessel if we had to do any more mini-golf. Of course, it's not all the fault of the devs or anything that minigolf is so stressful. I think it's more just a fact of life when playing virtual minigolf. This can definitely be backed up by the fact that if you load up any other minigolf game, like Golf with Your Friends for instance, you will still feel the sheer, utter, never-ending agony that this game inflicts. Don't be mistaken though, as pissed as this minigame makes me feel, minigolf is by far one of my favorite minigames to play, as I have not only gotten 2 million XP in this game, but I've also gotten practically every single achievement for minigolf. In hindsight, I think I might have a problem. Also, I know I promise not to constantly gush about my adoration for the aesthetics in this game, but like, holy shit, minigolf is just another reminder on just the sheer variety of aesthetics and themes that this game has. Like, on one hand, you have a map that just really immerses you into feeling like you're on a Zen garden, as long as you ignore how hellish the holes are. Or on the other hand, you have this very unique looking hexagonal aerial themed map. It truly is something I particularly appreciate a lot about minigolf. Alright, I'm once again rambling about aesthetics again, so let's shift gears from this casual and somewhat calm game mode, and move on to something a bit more competitive and high octane. So, let's move on to... Moving things back to a more adrenaline-pumping PvP game mode, and I'm not just talking about the adrenaline you can inject yourself with, Virus is a fast-paced zombie tag type of game mode, where one zombie has to try and infect every single survivor. Unlike Little Crusaders though, the survivors aren't defenseless. They get a huge arsenal of guns that I won't dare try to list off. Bombs and heroin. Adrenaline. What do you mean Left 4 Speed 2 did that joke first? And can I just say real quick, holy shit, the adrenaline is so overpowered. Like, if you survive until the last 15 seconds, it's practically just a free win. Like, you'd really have to suck at the game to die after taking adrenaline. Take that clip out of the video right now. On the other hand, all the zombies have to work with are just their claws. Now, if you think that's unfair, I would say you're right, especially with how bullshit some camping spots are, but the zombies do have a few things going in their favor. The first of which is that the first zombie gets randomly chosen, so if everyone huddles in their camping spot, everyone could immediately get infected when the zombie gets chosen. The other thing the zombies have going for them is how if the first zombie keeps dying before infecting anyone, they enter a rage mode that makes them faster and have more health, which can make getting into a camping spot a little bit easier. Let's also not forget, the more people that get infected, the easier the game gets for the infected, because, you know, strength in numbers and all that. And lastly, survivors do only have limited ammo. Like, sure, they might have enough to last them all game, but ammo for the really busted weapons such as TNT traps or the one-hit kill guns are very, very limited. So I'd say that both sides in this game are surprisingly balanced. The survivors might have some absolute bullshit at their disposal, but the zombies have so many countermeasures in place that they sort of cancel each other out. Once again, much like Little Crusaders, the maps aren't really the main focus of Virus, but nonetheless, I'll summarize them to the best of my ability. So, let's start things off with... Hey guys, welcome back to CSGO Funny Moments number 12. Hey wait, this isn't Dust 2, this is Desertion. Desertion is a pretty basic map, with its most notable area being this ramp area, which is the safest area in the map, primarily because it gives you plenty of time to react to any approaching threats. In addition to it being a pretty open map, there are lots of choke points that can be locked off with TNT all around the main ramp area. Now look, I know so far this map sounds very survivor side, but actually the moment one zombie can get into the main camping spots and forces everyone to go to the other sections of the map, the zombies can easily get the upper hand because of all the blind spots and places where zombies can drop down from. By far one of the funniest, but also one of the most survivor side maps, Hospital is full of blind spots and also one of the grossest camping spots imaginable in Virus. It's honestly really difficult to ever break a good defense that gets held up in the lobby area. And even when you do force them into the halls, it's still super hard to get a hold of the survivors since the hallways are so long and provide so much visibility. Now, you might be wondering why I said this is the funniest map in Virus, and that's because of all the corners that there are in this map. See, because there's so many blind corners on this map, it makes it really easy for you to just Freddy Fazbear jump scare someone coming out from around the corner. So this is the thanks I get for working overtime. Overtime! This map is actually a lot smaller than I remember it being, and I'm not exaggerating at all when I say that this map is freaking tiny. All it takes is for the zombies to break the defenses in this map's only camping spot to practically guarantee a victory, because then the zombies are forcing the survivors to run either into a cramped office or a hallway that leads to a reception area where the survivors can get easily cornered. I gotta say, out of all the Virus maps, Corrosion has got to be by far one of, if not the most zombie-sided map. With a combination of tight corridors, small map size, and lots of areas that are inescapable for the survivors, if the zombies are coordinated, it is a fucking rough map to play as survivors on. Regardless, we still managed to find this map's camping spot, which, although isn't the best in the game, it's certainly the best spot to be on in this map. Look, I'm gonna be honest, this has gotta be like one of the most intense maps in all of Virus. My heart was absolutely pumping the entire time while recording the background footage for this map. This map is a combination of super claustrophobic with lots of dead ends, and most importantly, no real good camping spots. This map basically forces the survivors to always be on their feet at all times and never feel too safe in one spot, which is how I assume the game is intended to be played. Overall, this map is a really good time, especially if you're a fan of shitting yourself in fear. Probably one of my favorite maps, we have Subway. This map is like a mesh of all my favorite aspects of Virus put into one map. It has a mix of sharp corners for jump scaring of zombies, and decent map size with lots of directions to go in as Survivor. The only downside of this map though is that the camping spots of this map are pretty brutal and pretty hard to break through as zombies. By far one of the most unique and innovative maps, Katzek Temple introduces launch pads to Virus, which actually gives quite the upper hand to the survivors when used properly. Of course though, overusing the launch pads can easily blow up in the faces of the survivors. A huge plus side to this map in my opinion though, is that there aren't really any camping spots on this map for the survivors, so it basically always forces them to keep moving. Honestly, I had such a fun time playing Virus with my friend. It really sucks that it's one of the more dead game modes. Okay, I mean, I guess I kinda get why it's so dead, what with some of the most busted camping spots imaginable, which are only stronger when you spawn with TNT, as well as a 4-player minimum to start a match. But OP camping spots and player count requirements aside, I do really think that Virus is a super creative take on zombie tag. I just really wish that more people would play it. It really breaks my heart so much seeing rarely anyone ever queued up to play it. Actually, while we're on the topic of zombies, let's move on to the next game mode, which is... In my opinion, Zombie Massacre is probably one of the most slept-on games in all of Towerunite. Zombie Massacre is a fairly difficult PvE game mode where you need to survive an onslaught of zombies where you need to board a chopper after defeating the horde. And after surviving for 6 days, you need to kill the giant enemy spider. Now thankfully, this game leaves a lot of things to your disposal to use against the zombies, ranging from the sometimes very busted weapons the zombies can drop, to the classes you can choose from with their own ridiculous abilities that can make life so much easier for you. Speaking of which, let's really quickly go over each of the classes. Now, the Doctor is pretty worthless if you're playing alone, but an absolute must-have when playing with other people. His combo power is also kinda nuts, as he can heal himself using the zombies that swarm him. Now, as for like pretty much every other class, they're all pretty similar in their main abilities, that being traps that can kill zombies when they enter the radius. Radiuses? Radii? I don't know. The main defining features of the other classes are their combo abilities, that being the Electron's Tesla coil that shocks zombies near you, the journalist's camera flash that kills zombies in a radius around you, the mercenary's drone buddy that shoots at zombies near you, the survivor's ramming shield which makes you invincible and lets you run over zombies, and the scientist's explosive flask that's basically just grenades. Once you start a day, you start off with just a basic handgun with infinite ammo, but sometimes when you kill a zombie they can drop some pretty insane weapons, ranging from a simple revolver to a fucking minigun. In the event you get overwhelmed and die, you can respawn yourself or have a teammate revive you, though you can only do that up to 3 times before you're permakilled. Though that's not entirely the case if you're playing with other people, because if you get permakilled, you become a zombie, and if your zombie gets killed, you get revived. So it's definitely recommended that you play with other people on some of the harder maps. Speaking of getting overwhelmed, there are some zombie variants that will absolutely overwhelm you if you aren't ready. No matter the map, on day 2, zombie wolves, burning zombies, and ghosts start spawning. The wolves are slightly tankier and faster zombies, the burning zombies are just normal zombies, they set you on fire, and the ghosts have ranged attacks to prevent you from camping in your traps or a camping spot. There are also vampires that do a shit ton of damage, have a shit ton of health, and move really goddamn fast. Towards the end of the level, there's also these motherfucking pumpkin head pricks I hate so much. They run at Mach 10 speed at you, if they touch you, they explode you, and take over half your damn health. There's also a couple zombie variants that only spawn like 2 maps, those being the werewolf and the skeletons. Although the skeletons are literally just the same as the normal zombies, the werewolves on the other hand are super fucking tanky, deal a shit ton of damage, and have a weird wonky ass hitbox. And of course, lastly, I can't forget the giant enemy spider, who the survivors have to fight the last day regardless of the map. The Spider Queen can be a real pain in the ass to fight, especially on certain maps, partially because of her massive health, but also because she can spawn small enemy spiders as well as spit acid and web goo at you. And to top it all off, if you get too close, she'll attack you, which does a lot of damage. Once you finish a wave, you can upgrade yourself using points you've gained from killing zombies and point pickups that zombies sometimes drop. In the upgrades menu, you get a few choices on what you can invest your money on, such as health, damage, abilities, or your starting gun. Now, this might surprise you, but actually the biggest part about Zombie Massacre are the maps. See, each of the maps vary in difficulty, but unlike Ball Race or Minigolf, where the difficulties are easy, medium, hard, and very hard, Zombie Massacre's difficulties are more along the lines of easy, hard, agony, and the eternal never-ending agony felt by having a— Oh my god! I am so sorry for putting that image in your mind. Anyways, let me quickly summarize each of the maps. So, first up, we've got— in the Petra Metro train yard in eastern Virginia, the survivors find themselves in a train yard and must gather intel and resources before a Category 4 hurricane hits. Despite train yard being the easiest of the Zombie Massacre maps, don't let its difficulty deceive you, as there are some aspects about this map that really work against you. First of all, there's a bunch of mini platforms that are actually surprisingly problematic, purely because if you're standing on the platform, the bullets will sometimes go over the zombies. And same goes for if the zombies are on the platform, where instead your bullets might hit the platform instead of the zombies. Second of all, there's a huge overpass over the middle of the map, which greatly hinders specifically the mercenary, as his main ability uses orbital lasers. But the problem is that the lasers won't shoot the zombies if the beacon is under the overpass. This is also why I think that the mercenary is probably the worst goddamn class in the entire game. Once you make it to day 6, you fight the giant enemy spider on a rooftop basketball court, which is surprisingly difficult, purely because of a combination of it being such a small area, and there being these stupid fucking mini walls that restrict movement in shots so goddamn much. At an Oyster gas station off Route 40 in North Carolina, the survivors find themselves needing to scavenge as much gas as possible before a nuke hits the region. Funnily enough, despite this map being technically harder than Train Yard, I actually feel like Gasoline is the easiest of the Zombie Massacre maps. For one thing, this map is really open without any short walls or obstacles to get in the way. Another notable aspect about this map is the introduction of explosive objects, that being gas pumps and cars. Although they aren't like super overpowered or anything, they can be useful in a pinch if you get a bit overwhelmed. Once again, the Mercenary is not recommended for this map since the main part of this map has a big ass roof over it. As for the boss, unlike Train Yard, Gasoline's boss arena, which takes place in a motel, is so much easier to fight in since it's so wide open and doesn't have any stupid short ass walls that'll block your shots. Inside of an abandoned army compound in northwest Washington, the survivors are trying to scavenge as many supplies as they can before the army moves into the area. Despite this map being rated as hard, I actually found it to be pretty easy, especially if you and your teammates just stay in the open courtyard area. Look, I'm going to be honest, this map is pretty basic, to the point where I just have nothing really interesting to say about it, so let's just move on to the next map. The survivors end up finding themselves back in the Petra Metro train yard in eastern Virginia after Hurricane Shira hits, where they need to scavenge the remaining supplies before the city gets overrun. Now look, if this map seems scary to you, that's because it is. Every single possible thing that makes Zombie Massacre scary is stuffed into one map. Everything from werewolves, jack-o'-lanterns spawning on day 3, the map basically being train yard again, and of course, the map is dark as fuck! I'm sure you can already tell based off how all the background footage here is practically zero visibility outside the gunfire and the normally useless flashlight. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention earlier that you get flashlight when I summarize the game mode. But I don't really think there's much point explaining a feature that is useful in like one map. Anyways, Night Yard takes an absolutely shocking difficulty spike compared to the other maps. When I first played this map with a couple friends, we got absolutely fucking clobbered by the zombies manifesting out of the darkness and the 5 billion jack-o'-lanterns and werewolves. And of course, as a misery cherry on top of this agony sundae, the boss battle is once again on that fucking basketball court, but now in total pitch black darkness. Ah! Oh, and also, once again, the overpass makes it a bad idea to play mercenary yet again. In a quarantined rural town inside North Yorkshire, the survivors need to hold out throughout the nights until a neighboring survivor group arrives in the area. Now look, you know how I said the Night Yard was the scariest map? Yeah, I lied. Village is actually the scariest map of all time for one reason and one reason only. This map takes place in Britain! In all seriousness though, Village is definitely up there with Night Yard in terms of difficulty, as they both have a lot of similarities with each other. That being jack-o'-lantern spawning on day 3, and being chock full of werewolves and skeletons. With one of the main differences being that you can actually see where you're going on Village. Now, what Village lacks in lack of visibility, it makes up for in lack of mobility. Out of all the Zombie Massacre maps, Village is extremely cramped with tight roads and dead ends. You can easily find yourself getting either overwhelmed or separated from your teammates insanely easily if you aren't careful, as all it takes is for the zombies to cluster in one tight pathway for you to instantly go from full health to dead. As for the boss battle though, it's a pretty simple open arena. Definitely much easier after the absolute agony that's day 5 on this map. Hopefully you don't suffer from acrophobia, because this map takes place on top of the rooftop of the Atlantic District Hospital in the middle of New Tunbridge City, where after the survivors fought their way to the top of the tower, they need to hold off the massive horde as their supplies are running low. I actually thought this map was really fucking sick, because it is very clearly based off Left 4 Dead's No Mercy finale, and I absolutely love Left 4 Dead. Despite this being a very hard map, I actually didn't have too hard of a time on it, surprisingly. It might have been a combination of the fact that me and my friends found a really busted camping spot, but maybe we're also just simply that good at the game. Or maybe it's because, unlike the other two very hard maps, there aren't any jack-o'-lanterns that spawn on day 3 or any werewolves whatsoever. But who knows? Honestly, as long as you just stay on these stairs and have a doctor and everyone constantly places traps, this map is a real breeze. The boss is also really damn easy on this map, since the boss area is so out in the open, and as long as everyone just unloads into the boss, it's a pretty easy win. Oh, and once again, there's indoor sections and overhead bridges on this map, so once again, the mercenary is not a good option on this map. Shout out to the mercenary for being the only class whose power doesn't work in sections of all but 2 maps. Hopefully in the future the devs update his abilities so it just goes through ceilings. That would make him so much more viable. But you know what? I think that's enough teamwork. I think we should get back to the games and make you want to never speak to your friends ever again. So let's now talk about... Look, if I want to be perfectly honest, I just personally don't really enjoy Accelerate nearly as much as the other game modes. But that might just purely be because I'm not too big on racing games. Or maybe it's just because I keep getting my ass kicked in this game. Like, dude, what is this? 3 bowling balls. I get hit by 3 fucking back-to-back bowling balls. I'm like that goddamn video where that toad just keeps getting stunned by like every single thing in Mario Kart. Ugh! But look, on a more positive note, I gotta say, I absolutely love the fact that you can just use custom vehicles in this game mode. Like, dude, you can just strip race riding Weezer, or like Father Gregory, or even the goddamn baby car. Now look, Accelerate is very similar to Mario Kart, in that it has silly little power-ups such as traps you can put down, or melons that speed you up, or that fucking blue shell that exists solely to end friendships. Now, there is a little bit of variety in different racetracks, ranging from simple pitfalls to practically edgeless tracks. If you fall off, you lose a bit of distance. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I probably won't have too much to say about these maps, as they are literally just racetracks. It would be me like trying to say something meaningful about Rainbow Road in Mario Kart. The road is rainbow, and it's like in space, and like, you see what I mean? So, sorry if this section's a bit lacking. Anyways, let's get straight into it, starting with... For the first map, we have the easiest accelerate map, Wishy Washy Waterfall. Now, I say this map is the easiest because not only is the entire track really wide, which makes it really easy to avoid traps, but it's also near impossible to fall off the edges of this map. So really, the only threat to you on this map are the other players. Oh, also, this is the only accelerate map in the game without a slightly more difficult counterpart. Pine Valley is definitely one of the more straightforward maps to accelerate. This map is a small step up in difficulty from Wishy Washy Waterfall though, with deceptive dirt routes that look like shortcuts, and boulders that get in the way of a booster. Speaking of boosters, this map introduces booster pads that do exactly what you think they do. Well, technically Wishy Washy Waterfall also introduces boosters, but the boosters on that map are literally impossible to miss. Oh, also, I just want to also mention that Pine Valley has got to have one of the funkiest themes in all of Accelerate. Crisscross Rapids is a tougher counterpart to Pine Valley, this time with a lot more boulders in the way as well as much more sharp turns. This map is also a bit harder because now there are areas where you can much more easily fall off the edge of the map and have to reset. Another very straightforward map, Sunrise Isles is the only accelerate map in the game without boosters. The main notable aspects of this map are the split route and the extremely sharp corners. This is also one of the longest maps lap-wise, as unlike the other maps, this map has 5 laps instead of 4. For the tougher counterpart of Sunrise Isles, we have Riptide Retreat. This map has much sharper corners than Sunrise Isles, and also some boosters with jumps. Honestly, I like this map so much more than Sunrise Isles, since it feels a lot more challenging. For the first of the 2 hard maps, we have Bed Zoom. This map has lots of edgeless sections in the track, which can make it really easy to fall off the map. My biggest gripe with this specific map, though, is the stupid-ass ramp wall thing that always fucks me up every single time I try using it or going around it. Despite this map being above Bed Zoom in the map selection, according to its description, Hallway Raceway is a harder version of Bed Zoom. The main big thing about this map, much like all the other difficult variations of the other map, is that this map has a lot of extra sharp corners, to the point where one section of the map is practically just one really long sharp corner. Look, I've gotten really mad while recording background gameplay for this video, but I wholeheartedly don't think even Minigolf has given me as terrible of a headache as Accelerate has. I have been robbed so many goddamn times playing this godforsaken game mode. Look, call me a sore loser all you want, but frankly, I feel like the entire universe refuses to let me be happy when it comes to Accelerate. But you know what? I think that's enough of being on the verge of popping a blood vessel. Let's now talk about the final minigame, which is... One of the newest and by far most intense game modes, Saturday Night Live is a high-octane shooting game with a wide arsenal of guns. This game mode is really similar to, and I'm not sure if any of you have heard of this game before, but this game mode is really similar to this game called Banana Shooter. Now, the goal of the game varies depending on the game mode, though there's always one big constant: shoot the ever-living shit out of the other players. Now, you might be thinking that this is just your run-of-the-mill first-person shooter, but you are so sorely mistaken. There's a very good reason why I say this game mode is high octane. In this game mode, you can slide and double jump while also having the most ridiculous arsenal of weapons, ranging from a Nerf gun to, is that a fucking cannon? Because Saturday Night Live is such a new game mode, there are definitely some balancing issues when it comes to certain things. Though the biggest in my opinion are definitely the player models. Though honestly, I shouldn't give the game too much flack for having these balancing issues. As I previously said, this game is really new. I mean, like, as of recording this video, Saturday Night Live practically just released, so there's obviously going to be some huge balancing issues. Despite the fact that there are only a small handful of maps for Saturday Night Live, the gameplay stays super fresh by having an absolute fuck ton of game modes, so let's get straight into them, starting with probably one of the most basic game modes in SDNL. The goal of Arcade is to get the most kills within 5 minutes using a randomized loadout. Not really much else to say about it, you just kill each other to death. Another very basic game mode, the goal of Arena mode is to get 30 kills with just one weapon you're randomly given. And you can also pick up weapons to spawn around the map, they're usually better than your starting weapon. Probably one of my absolute favorite game modes of all time in SDNL. Gun game is a pretty classic game mode where the premise of the game is to get 32 kills, but there's a catch. Every time you get a kill, your gun changes. Though, I've got to say, there definitely needs to be some kind of balancing changes for this game mode, because sometimes you'll get like the most absurd insta-kill gun imaginable, and then like right after you'll get like just the most pathetic pea shooter ever. And then, of course, afterwards, you'll get more insta-kill guns. But aside from that, this game mode is actually a real blast. Definitely, out of all the SDNL game modes, this is the one that me and my friends probably played the most off camera. You know, before I played this game mode, I was actually really dreading playing it. And it has nothing to do whatsoever with anything about the gameplay itself. Now, to give some quick background information, one of my friends who helped with this video is really fucking obsessed with dinosaurs, to the point where I now have a visceral reaction of sheer and utter disgust every time I think of dinosaurs. Anyways, context aside, I actually think the Dino Tag is pretty damn fun, albeit really imbalanced, but still really fun. There truly is something that really gets the adrenaline pumping in me when there's a dinosaur fucking barreling directly towards me at Mach 10 speed while I'm desperately trying to gun it down. The main goal of the game is for both teams, the hunters and the dinos, to try to get 30 kills first. Honestly though, the best part of this game mode is how I can finally get revenge on my dino-loving friend. Hey Ron, look to your left. A pretty classic first-person shooter game mode, we have Capture the Flag. Now, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, this game mode makes me so unreasonably angry. Especially when my opponent is Pixora. God, why is he so good at the game? I'm so angry, oh my god! Ah yes, Team Oddball. Definitely one of the more adrenaline-pumping game modes. The goal of the game is to hold on to the oddball for 2 minutes. This game mode definitely gets the blood pumping, especially when you're playing on maps like Hindrance, you just keep breaking line of sight with your opponents. Much like Arcade, Team Deathmatch is another very bare-bones game mode. It's literally just Arcade mode, but with teammates. I really don't know what else you want me to say about this. As the name suggests, Team Gun Game is just gun game with teammates. It's definitely a little bit more interesting to play than the base game though, because when one teammate gets 31 kills, the entire team wins. So it's a bit tactical to soften up your enemies so your teammates can secure kills. I'm going to be honest, I was totally convinced the slasher was going to suck absolute ass crack because of how agonizing it is to get melee kills in gun game, but actually it's surprisingly fun and fast paced when everyone else also has melee weapons. For one of the more difficult game modes, we have Instagib. Very similar to Arena mode, the goal of Instagib is to get 30 kills with only one weapon, though unlike Arena mode, you can't pick up any other weapons, and you're stuck with an insta-kill laser rifle. Maybe it's just that my aim is dog shit, but holy crap, it is hard to land hits with this gun. Oh my lord. Similar to Instagib, we have Space Snipers. The goal of Space Snipers is to get 30 kills with just a laser sniper rifle. But the catch is that there's low gravity. Personally, I suck absolute ass using the sniper rifle, so I found this game mode to be absolute hell. Especially when I keep getting fucking killed every single time! Definitely one of the funnier game modes. The entire premise of Grav Glove is to launch physics objects in the map at other players. The only problem is that some maps, it's near impossible to kill players due to the limited amount of physics objects to use. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Hindrance. And that just about does it for all the game modes for SDNL. But I'm not done yet. Up next, I'm going to quickly go over the 4 maps SDNL has. Though, to be perfectly honest, there really isn't all too much for me to say about these maps. So, let's start things off with... Honestly, Frostbite has got to be the best SDNL map there is. It's a really big map and also very open. It's an especially great map to play on if you're playing like gun game or arcade, though it's absolute hell if you're playing like Dino Attack for one reason in particular. This spot right here, and that's because there's only one way up there, and it's so open, the hunters can just stay up there and gun down any dinosaurs that try to reach them. Aside from that though, Frostbite is actually a really fun map. By far one of the more confusing of the SDNL map, Hindrance is a pretty interesting map to play on, as all its twists and turns and vantage points make this a surprisingly chaotic map to play on. It's even more chaotic if you're playing something like Team Oddball, since you can just keep running around all the twists and turns and just never get caught. At the same time though, Hindrance is also a really spooky map, since you can get absolutely shit on from above without even noticing. You know, at first I absolutely hated Meadows because of how small the map is combined with the lack of cover this map provides, but honestly, after playing some games on this map, it really started to grow on me. I'm pretty sure the reason I hated this map so much was because my first impression of it was playing gun game, which, despite it being my favorite game mode, is absolutely atrocious on Meadows. Meadows is definitely better if you're playing something like arcade mode or Team Oddball. Oh, also, little side note, Meadows has by far one of the most banging songs in the entire game. Lastly, we have the newest SDNL map, which was literally added a week before me writing this section of the script. You might already notice that this map looks a bit familiar, and that's because this map was actually summarized earlier in the video during the virus section. That's right, Decommission is actually a crossover with Virus's Corrosion map. I actually think this map works pretty well for SDNL. Much like in Virus, I particularly like how cramped this map is, as it can make it really easy to ambush someone who's just around a corner. One massive downside of this map, though, is a gigantic death pit in the middle, which is really problematic if you're playing gun game and your opponents just keep jumping in to deny you kills. Oh my god! Now look, I know that might seem like that there's a limited amount of maps to choose from, and although that might be true, there's actually a lot of custom maps you can also choose from, such as Bob on Battlefield or Bigfoot Jinx. Man, despite SDNL being a lot of fun, I genuinely don't think I've ever been this mad at a game in my entire life than while recording footage for this game. Like dude, if this background footage were unmuted, you would just hear me hitting my desk and calling my friends fat. I definitely think there needs to be some balancing changes to some of the maps and game modes, but I'm sure they'll happen in due time. This is a very new game mode after all. Holy shit, that was a lot of game modes and maps to go over, but we still managed to push through them all. Now, you might have noticed throughout this video that sometimes I get XP and XP milestones. One of the really cool things about Towerunite is that when you reach XP milestones, you get cool little rewards such as dioramas or trophies. But you might be asking right now, what the hell am I even supposed to do with these trophies? Well, I'm glad you asked, and that actually brings us into the last main activity there is in Towerunite, that being the... Maybe you want to take a break from all the activities and minigames and want to just kick back and relax. Well, lucky for you, you have a condo you can go to. Maybe you want to make the ultimate home as an escape from reality because your gaming setup looks something like this. Or maybe instead you just want a place to make the ultimate goon cave. There truly aren't any limits to what you can put in your condo. But that raises a question. What can you put in condos exactly? Well, there's one aspect of the plaza that I left out when talking about the activities, and that's the shops. In the shops, you can buy pretty much anything you could possibly want to decorate your condo with, ranging from tables or TVs to more bizarre items such as laser machines or body pillows? Not only that, but as you would probably remember, certain activities and reaching milestones gives you items that you can use to decorate your condo. Whether it's you flexing your trophies to show everyone that you have no life, or your plushie collection that you gained from the claw machine. One really cool thing to note though, is that you can also place TVs, which work as media players in your condo. But you can also place video game consoles in your condo. You might remember how I mentioned working game consoles way back in the arcade section of this video. So how exactly do they work? Are there like a few minigames that you can load up on these consoles or something? Well, I guess in a sense yes, but not in the way you'd think. You see, Towerunite has actually added support for emulation, and you can emulate any retro game you want through these consoles. Of course though, to emulate games, you need to do some heavy lifting, which consists of you getting your hands on the actual game files to load into the consoles. Now, unfortunately, both Towerunite as well as myself are not legally allowed to tell you how to get your hands on the game files loaned to these consoles, as it's stealing intellectual property, and you are denying the devs of these 20-plus-year-old games so much money in sales. Ugh, you people make me sick. How dare you emulate Atlantis SquarePantis for the PlayStation 2? You sick fucks are the reason why some Nickelodeon and Sony employees will have to explain to their families that they can't afford food today because you felt entitled to emulate a video game from 2007. Never forget, emulation is evil and you should be publicly executed if you perform such a sin. I'm sorry, I get a bit heated sometimes when it comes to emulation. Anyways, on a completely unrelated note, you wanna know what my favorite drink is in all the Fallout games? It's Vim from Fallout 4's Far Harbor DLC. It looks so delicious. I bet if I were to drink it, I would probably go, mmm. In fact, I think it'd be so delicious that I sometimes spell Vim with 2 M's. Like, dude, if Vim were real, I'd probably fill a net with bottles of Vim. It would just be a Vim net. Anyway, sorry about that completely random and unrelated tangent. Let's get back into discussing Towerunite. Much like the minigames, there's actually a pretty wide variety of condos to choose from. Though, unlike minigame maps, you need to purchase each condo, with the sole exception of the Ice Moon, which you need to gamble for. So, let's quickly go over each one. Have you ever wanted to live the suburban lifestyle in the middle of suburbia, USA? Then House is a perfect condo for you. The house has all the amenities that a suburban neighborhood has, including but not limited to a huge backyard, the most suburban looking rooms I've ever seen, and my personal favorite thing about this map, your neighbor's house. Why, you might ask? Well, this condo lets you be the most fucking obnoxious neighbor of all time and gives you the option to constantly knock on your neighbor's door. What's even funnier is if you knock on the door at night, you end up fucking waking them up. I have no clue why this is a thing, but I love it. Ah yes, the good old-fashioned classic Towerunite condo. Though, let's be real, this is not at all a condo. It's more like a goddamn private island. Like, dude, this condo deadass has 3 floors, a pool, a whole-ass beach, and while recording footage for this, I discovered that there's a goddamn secret boat room? What? You know, even though this condo is the default one, I gotta say that this is probably the best condo in the game. Do you ever just wish you could live in GM Flatgrass? No? Well, too bad, because you can do just that in Smooth Dirt. On Smooth Dirt, you get to have all sorts of cool stuff, like grass, a vast expanse of nothing, grass, a concrete square, more grass. Look, man, I'm going to be honest, I'm really grasping at straws here trying to think of what else to say about this condo, so let's just move on to the next one. Ah yes, the good old-fashioned classic GMOD tower suite. I actually didn't realize how small this condo is. Like, holy crap, this place is small. One funny thing about this condo is how you can jump off the balcony and go into the fish tank. But yeah, I guess that's really all there is to say about this nostalgic map. Is what I would say if I wasn't a thorough investigator. That's right, apparently there's more than meets the eye in this classic condo. You may notice that there's a little vent on the 2nd floor. Well, as it turns out, you can be just like Among Us and actually go through the vent and end up in a secret room. Don't bring out the whole ocean with this next condo, which is underwater. Like, literally, it's almost completely submerged. You know, a thought just occurred to me while recording this video. How the hell does some of these condos even fit in the tower? You really expect me to believe that they managed to fit a whole ass ocean in the tower? Like, you go to floor 10, there's just an ocean there, and you go to floor 11, and you just see like a suburban house in a neighborhood. Dude, these condos are truly a spatial anomaly. But I digress. Underwater is a pretty neat condo, which consists of a bunch of different rooms, separated by elevators and airlocks. High-rise is definitely one of the more interesting condos in my opinion. For starters, this condo gets you free reign over an entire penthouse floor, plus an entire empty floor in some massive tower in the middle of a bustling city. Actually, that's why I find this map to be so interesting, because you look down the streets and you see cars driving around the city, which really makes this feel so much more lively. The other thing I find so interesting about this map is how it teleports you back inside if you try jumping off the edge of the building. Though, surprisingly, the game does let you jump onto a nearby rooftop. In fact, the game even lists it as a location in the bottom left. Honestly, maybe I'm just a city rat who absolutely loves city vibes, but this is by far one of the coziest condos in my opinion. Especially at nighttime with all the glowing lights in the windows and when you can see all the cars driving around more clearly. Have you ever suddenly had the urge to showcase a bunch of silly images? Well, lucky for you, the art studio exists for just such an occasion. I personally used the art studio for when I was experiencing a hyperfixation on Spampton and made this atrocity of a condo. Why the fuck did I make this? Have you ever wanted to go to the theater but didn't want to be bothered by pesky random people walking in the theater, or can't be bothered to rent out a private room in the theater? Well, thankfully the theater condo exists for just that reason. I don't really know why you'd want this since there's already a theater, and also TVs so you can just resize in your condo to make your own theater. But hey, to each their own, I guess. I mean, besides, why would you want a simple theater condo when there's a condo that already has a built-in theater? Which actually brings us to the next condo, which is... Yo, dog, I heard you like Towerunite, so we put GMOD Tower in your Towerunite. Yeah, that's right. They put the entire GMOD Tower Resort in Towerunite as a condo. The resort condo is a literal one-to-one recreation of the old GMOD Tower Plaza, which you might understand now why I think you should maybe save your money on the theater condo, seeing as how this condo already has a whole-ass dedicated theater. The other neat thing about this map is how it actually has a decent bit of secrets hidden around it, which I think is pretty damn cool. Do you like the blank canvas that's smooth dirt, but hate that it's a vast expanse of nothingness? Well, lucky for you, Smooth Autumn has just that. Unlike Smooth Dirt, Smooth Autumn has a bunch of orange trees and a mini pond, which really just gives major cozy vibes. I don't even have anything snarky or silly to say about this one, it's just really cozy. Are you sick of living on your sad little default condo island and want to step things up a notch and live the real high life? Then the Courtyard Villa is the perfect upgrade for you. The Courtyard Villa has all the amenities that make you feel just like a tech billionaire who bought up an entire island, ranging from a private airstrip to a big-ass house with one of those rich people's zen waterfalls. It even has every rich person's favorite thing. I'm of course talking about a tennis court. Yes sir, this condo truly has it all, and is certainly a big step up from the default condo, though I still like the default condo more. And lastly, we have Ice Moon. If you're a degenerate gambler and Lady Luck smiles down upon you, then you may just be lucky enough to get your hands on the Ice Moon. Funnily enough, I actually didn't need to blow my entire life savings to try and get the Ice Moon. I just spun the wheel where you get the Ice Moon literally once, because I just want to try and get one of the new prizes, and I end up getting the Ice Moon first try, because I'm just goated like that. Though, you may be a bit disappointed to know that you don't actually have a whole ass moon to yourself, but rather a medium box that you're restricted to being put inside of. But hey, you do get silly zero gravity, so that's pretty dope. And that's just about the last of the condos. Though there are actually more condos to choose from, because apparently there's also Steam Workshop condos, which I actually never realized were even a thing. You know, I feel like the condos are one of my absolute favorite aspects of Towerunite. I'm not even sure why. Maybe it's just because the condo is a great place to artistically express myself or something. Who knows? Also, I just realized I've finally gone over every single activity in the game.
But what about the holiday events?
Look man, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. The holiday events always just consist of the plaza getting decorated, the minigame platform having holiday exclusive minigames, special shops with holiday items, and a timed event that spawned a bunch of interactable items that give you random stuff when you interact with them. They are pretty fun when they happen, but honestly, I don't think I need to make a whole section dedicated to them. What I will say about them though is that they are a real great way to keep the community engaged. In fact, outside of holiday events, every week there's also a weekend event that encourages people to play the game, such as double arcade ticket events, or my personal favorite, the double fishing XP event. Not only that, but the developers also run community condo competitions where people can compete to make the best condo for a huge reward of units. So let's run things back to one here. I know I summarized all the activities that Towerunite has to offer, but I'm not exactly sure that I answered the initial question per se. So let me explain. To answer the question on what makes Towerunite so perfect, I'm going to ask you another question. What game exists that can offer the sheer amount of content that Towerunite has? I really doubt a single game exists that can allow you to play such a wide variety of activities. Let's take for example, in my opinion, the most similar game to Towerunite, Minecraft. Now, Minecraft can also theoretically offer just as much, if not more activities than Towerunite. The only problem with Minecraft is that the game does have its limits, whether it's how Minecraft is restricted to only using blocks with no gravity, or the only way to pull off anything even close to what Towerunite has is to be an absolute redstone and plug-in master. In comparison, Towerunite isn't limited by its pre-existing rules to the game's physics, as the devs have proven many times before by making various game modes and minigames are so vastly different from one another. Speaking of the various game modes, another thing that makes this game so special, and I suppose the whole reason why I summarize every single game mode and activity, is that it literally has something that can appeal to every type of player. Like, on one hand, you have a high-octane, fast-paced PvP shooter with fucking dinosaurs, whereas on the other hand, you have a chill golf game. Well, chill, quote-unquote. And sure, there's plenty of other social interaction games out there, such as the previously mentioned Minecraft, or Towerunite's predecessor GMOD. But I think even Towerunite is unique even when it comes to the social aspects, which brings me to my next point. I want you to picture this in your mind. You're just minding your business, walking around the plaza, and then suddenly you see two Angry Birds in suits barreling directly towards you while blasting the Angry Birds rap through their microphones. This was one of the many unhinged interactions I had while playing this game. And sure, I suppose you could argue they could experience the same stuff on GMOD, but I don't think you would feel the same if you're on Dark RP and two errors are barreling towards you blasting the Angry Birds rap. Though, to be fair, it would still be really funny. Honestly, you don't even need to say anything to other people to experience just the most psychotic, unhinged interactions imaginable. While working on this video, I played Coin River during a double ticket event to grind for the Wowzula. And just during this 1 hour session, I had 2 psychotic interactions. The first one was when there was someone with a Rigby skin named Rigby in all caps who was just staring at me saying absolutely nothing the entire time. This is the only screenshot I have of this. Legend has it that to this day, Rigby is still staring at random women in arcades. Anyways, as for the other interactions, sometime after the Rigby cryptid decided to run off, there were these 2 rotisserie chickens who ran up to me and just started breathing really heavily into their microphones directly into my ears. Needless to say, I was fucking mortified by this. But alas, I had to grind for tickets. Eventually though, these rotisserie chickens just started saying the name tag above me, which said, "I kill homeless people." So I finally built up the courage to say to them, "Are you homeless people?" After that, they ran off, never to be seen again. Interactions like these are one of my absolute favorite aspects of Towerunite, despite the fact that I'm always scared shitless of interacting with random strangers in video games. Even on days where I feel too awkward to use my voice chat in game, it's always interesting to just go player watching and just watch what psychotic interactions happen amongst each other. In fact, while I'm on the topic of feeling too shy to use voice chat, something great that Towerunite does is also provide alternative ways to communicate with other players. Whether it's the emotes tab, which lets you do ridiculous dances and goofy ass reactions, or it's a player inventory where you can do stuff like throw fruit at people or just whip out a gun and just fucking shoot them. I remember I read somewhere once the perfect comparison to Towerunite. Towerunite is just a better version of VR chat. Honestly, I couldn't agree with that statement more. VR chat does have its fun moments, but ultimately it's a pretty boring game. You know why? There's nothing to fucking do in VR chat other than talk to people. On the other hand, you have Towerunite where you can talk to people, but more importantly, you can actually do stuff with people. This particular point really got driven home to me after recording all the background footage for this video. I know it's a bit of a given that playing video games with friends is fun, but there's just something about Towerunite that makes playing with friends just so much more special that you just can't quite experience in any other game in my opinion. I truly don't think I've had this much fun with my friends playing other games that I had over the past few weeks during the on and off camera gaming sessions playing this game. You might notice that most of the background footage of this video has other people in it despite most of the games being playable alone, and that's purely because this game is just infinitely better with other people. For example, sure, it's fun to play Minigolf alone, but it's so much funnier when you're playing with friends and you can just hear them lose their shit when they screw up a shot. I mean, hell, even something as theoretically boring as going to the condos can be infinitely more fun with other people, as I have learned while recording this video. I remember this one night while editing this video where my friends just decided to go into random condos and then just screwed with people, just saying and doing the most psychotic shit imaginable. Of course, though, the psychotic interactions are a two-way street. Aside from the Rigby and rotisserie chicken incidents, there's also this guy that me and my friends met called Dead Make-A-Wish Kid, who we just saw in his condo watching body cam footage, and then he called me the N-word. It's interactions like this that really do remind you that a lot of these people used to be GMOD players. And that is one of the most GMOD interactions I think I've ever experienced in this damn game. And honestly, I think these are the reasons why I love the social aspects of Towerunite so much. It's a completely mixed bag, where on one hand you can encounter Dead Make-A-Wish Kid watching body cam footage, or on the other hand you can encounter a guy doing Donald Duck impressions who you can beat to death. There just really aren't that many other games where you can have experiences like this outside of GMOD or maybe VR chat. Actually, well, on the topic of the player base, I legit could not find a single place in this script where I could segue into this smoothly, so I'll just say it here. The Towerunite community is insanely talented when it comes to custom models and maps. You might have remembered how earlier I mentioned that there are custom condos, SDNL maps, and arcade carts, or notice that everyone throughout this video has some silly wacky character model. And surprisingly, all these are made by the community, which I would also like to briefly mention how fucking fast they work sometimes. Dude, when I wrote this script, the Amazing Digital Circus released its pilot episode 3 days ago, and there's already a Pomni character model? How the hell do you people work this fast? And dude, don't even get me started on some of the custom condos. Dude, someone literally recreated the entirety of the Gmod map elevator source. How do you even make something like this? Oh, also a little side note, apparently the creators of Towerunite also made elevator source, which I actually never knew before. Well, I've done it. I've explained everything there is to explain this game. I mean, I guess with the sole exceptions of buried treasure or alcohol mechanics, but do you really expect me to say anything noteworthy about alcohol mechanics? Come on now. But do you want to know something that you might find a bit surprising? You might think that this is a fully fledged game, seeing as how I've been yammering on non-stop about this game for the past 1 hour 45 minutes. But you might be surprised to find out that Towerunite is actually only in early access. That's right, it might be hard to believe, but the devs have actually been hard at work for the past like 7+ years, constantly adding new features to this game. The thing that I personally find really crazy though, is how much more the devs have on their agenda to work on adding to the game, ranging from things like new features, bug fixes, and game balancing. So honestly, huge props to the devs for being so passionate and dedicated to this great game. It really has me super excited to see what the final product of this game will look like. But even in its current state, there's already so much that this game has to offer. From fishing to gambling, from Minigolf to zombie massacre, there truly are no limits to what there is to do in this game. I hope after watching this video, you now understand why I believe that Towerunite is the greatest game that you've never played. Thank you so much for watching. I want to quickly take this time to thank my friends who've helped me record the background footage for this video. Links to all their channels will be in the description down below. Also, if you want to support the developers of Towerunite, I will link the Steam page for Towerunite as well as their Patreon in the description down below.